And welcome to North Mississippi Game Day, episode 5, here from Oxford, Mississippi, at the Charter Road Hospitality Suites, Town Place Suites here by Marriott. And I'm Ronnie Williams. That's Josh Guest. How you doing, Josh?
Doing good, Ronnie, and got a little playoff football going on in Mississippi. Got some nice, crisp evenings right now. Still pretty warm temperatures though for North Mississippi this time of year.
Yeah, I think a couple of weeks ago we had some temperatures that were getting kind of low. We were putting jackets on and kind of wearing some hoodies. And this past Friday night in Cleveland, the way Cleveland was set up, I was kind of at the top of the bleachers on the home side, which was not nearly as high as Pontotoc was, but Cleveland um, was a lot closer to the field. But I felt like I was really high, and if I turned around and looked behind me, there were power lines, like even with my head, about 3 feet behind us. So we were kind of up there a little bit, but it was a lot of fun. Of course, Commodores come up a little short. Their season's over, but still a lot of football going on as we're 2 weeks away from state championships.
Yeah, Ronnie, and you mentioned Pontotoc and how high we were. It felt like we were in the stratosphere. We were so high up there at the Hollow, as they affectionately call it. And man, those new stands are nice, but woo, we were way up there.
Yeah, it's a very nice place that they've got over there, and they've done a great job of upgrading. And but man, it was like you said, we were up there, we were a ways away from the field. Didn't have that problem at Cleveland, but it was still I felt kind of up in the air a little bit at Cleveland as well. But hey, as you said, man, it is playoff time in Mississippi. How has this season gone so fast?
I don't know, Ronnie. It seems like yesterday we were, gearing up for the first game and setting up, and the temperatures then were warm, but not. A couple of years ago we had that 100-degree day where I think they pushed the start of one of the games back up in Senatobia, like South Panola was playing on Northwest Field, and they pushed the start time back or something because it was just so hot that day. Of course, it's turf there, and um,
Right.
that kind of thing. I think it actually was 100 that night when Oxford played Lafayette at Lafayette that night.
Yeah. The weather the last few weeks has been great, and of course this is going to be our football prognosticating episode here tonight. It's kind of a short, abbreviated episode. As you'll see, a kind of a different look tonight. We're trying a little different software tonight, so it's going to be a little different show than we've had in the past. But so we're going to do a little abbreviated show here tonight. We still want to thank all of our sponsors, Domino's Pizza, Charter Road Hospitality, for all of their great facilities they have here in Oxford. But hey, let's jump right into it. 1A football. So the very first game we want to talk about is Biggersville and Okolona, two teams that have been on a collision path all season are finally meeting.
Yeah, Ronnie, and when I look at it, I mean, if I'm thinking about this, Oklahoma's been rolling, but Biggersville's putting up the points. They've gone 92 points so far in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, and so I mean, if you back me against the wall, I'm going to go Biggersville over Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think Biggersville's only loss of the season. They're coming into this one, I think 11-1. They lost to East Webster, who's playing for the 2A state championship. So we'll talk about them in a few minutes. But yeah, I'm with you. I think I'm going to have to go with Biggersville over Okolona. Now the other side of the bracket for the North half, I know who I'm picking. I'm going to put it on you, but Calhoun City and LaFleur County.
Yeah, Calhoun City's had it going all year long. I don't know how I could pick against them. They scored 103 points in the first 2 rounds so far, so I've got to go with Calhoun City.
Yeah, I'm with you. Kansas City's only loss was to Senatobia by 3 points. And it kind of funny though, they had played Oklahoma a little earlier in the year and beat Oklahoma by 39, who's still rolling as of right now. So, of course, 2A, we just talked about East Webster. They're going to be in it, but North Side and Kemper County in that upper part of the bracket.
And uh, this is one of those that was kind of a coin flip for me. I went ahead and said Northside. That's who I'm gonna pick as the winner of Northside Kemper County.
Yeah, I've got Northside. Their only loss is to Charleston this year. So I think they're rolling pretty good. They'll be the home team. So, and speaking of Charleston and East Webster, Charleston has two losses this year, Clarksdale and DeSoto Central. So they're stepping up out of 2A and playing some pretty big teams.
Yeah, as I look down though, East Webster has scored 110 in the playoffs, and they've given up zero. And so, for that reason, I picked East Webster maybe in the upset over Charleston there. But those zeros, I know it's two rounds, it's not one. One game you can run into
Right.
somebody who maybe doesn't
Yeah.
belong. There's two games in a row that they put up 50 plus and blank the other team. So I'm going East Webster.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Tigers of Charleston. They've just been one of those teams that we've kind of followed all year, and I don't really kind of want to give up on them right now. Now we'll move to 3A, Choctaw County and Noxubee County. I remember Noxubee County from the years that Lafayette was back in the Coach Hart's first tenure here. It was always Knoxville County, Lafayette, and Clarksdale. Those three teams played for like 11 or 12 straight state championships. So Knoxville's kind of been that team. Choctaw County, I think I'm going to go. I'm going Knoxville County just because they've met once this year, and Knoxville beat them 8-7.
Okay. Well, I'm going the other way. I'm going Choctaw County again. They've put up quite a few points in the playoffs here, so they're kind of rolling, got it going. Of course, I mean, all these teams that have won two games, you could say that they're rolling. Whether they win by 1 point or a bunch,
Right.
but over 100 points, 102 points scored by Choctaw County. So I'm going to go Choctaw County.
Yeah, that's kind of when you look at those kind of stats, you're like, man, kind of hard to pick against them. But in the bottom part of that bracket, Aberdeen and Winona. Aberdeen lost Winona lost to Aberdeen by 8 6 weeks ago. But I think we've seen Winona try to turn it on here the last few weeks, and I think for that reason, I think I'm going to go with Winona in this one.
So I also am going to go with Winona. Even though I think Aberdeen might have outscored them, they did. They scored 100 points in the playoffs. Winona has only scored 62, but I like that defense. Aberdeen's given up a few points right now, 34 and 39 in the first two rounds, and Winona's given up 22 and 8. So I'm like you. Sometimes that second meeting, it's hard to beat somebody twice, and I think Winona, like you said, is kind of rolling. So I'm going Winona here on this one.
Yeah, going to 4A now. We've got Corinth and Kosciuszko, and Corinth is a team that we know from last few seasons have been in 5A, and they moved down to 4A. And I said, and they're going to roll with 4A in just about every sport. Yeah, I'm still picking them in baseball in 4A just because we saw them in the North Half Championship. But I'm putting Kosciuszko in this one because Kosciuszko's only loss is Louisville by 5, 29-24. And we've seen what Louisville's done. They just blew New Albany out.
Yeah, that was impressive too. Um, but here I'm going defense again. Another team that hasn't given up a point in the playoffs is Corinth. Although Kosciuszko has put up 98 points already, so if Corinth shuts them out, they'll have done something for sure. But anyway, those shutouts speak to me. That zero on the board. But again, I don't expect them to shut Kosciuszko out, and so I'm going to go Corinth. But it would not shock me if the Whippets of Kosciuszko run away with that one.
And I said that I meant Senatobia as Corinth beat Senatobia 14-0 last week. So on the bottom part, two perennial powers, Clarksdale and Louisville. Man, what a matchup that is between two powers in 4A football.
Yeah, and here, Ronnie, as you talked about familiarity with another 5A team that's gone down to 4A is Clarksdale. And I watched Clarksdale just kind of smother Lafayette in the playoffs a couple years ago. And so for that reason, I went Clarksdale here, even though the numbers kind of told me maybe I should go Louisville. Louisville's, again, like both these teams are perennial winners in Mississippi football for a very long time. But I'm going to go Clarksdale. And full disclosure here, where was I born in Clarksdale? So, maybe that's why I did it. But really, and also I will say this for the Clarksdale fans out there, I absolutely love y'all's uniforms. I love them.
I'm going to differ. I'm going to go Louisville, and the reason I'm doing that is looking at their schedule this year. They lost to West Point, who is without a doubt the class of Mississippi football. There's not a better team in the state. They're ranked number one.
Yeah.
They lost to West Point by 2. They lost to Starkville. They beat Noxubee County. So Lewis was that team that if they could get there, they've got a shot. So here we are in the Final Four of the North Ave, the North Ave Championship next week. So I'm going with Louisville to beat Clarksdale. It's hard to pick against Clarksdale because we've just seen how great they've been over the years. But
Yeah.
uh, so 5A, first game we're going to talk about. I've got something written on this one. West Point and Pontotoc. That's going to be in West Point.
Ronnie, when I saw last week that that Pontotoc blanked Lanier 27-0, I said, "Oh, look what Pontotoc has found here." And I thought, I'm going to pick Pontotoc in the next round until I looked up and saw they were playing West Point. And I was like, never mind. I'm going to pick West Point. And what I wrote down was, need I say more? West Point.
And we got to see Pontotoc a few weeks ago. Pontotoc's a very good football team, and I know they played West Point earlier in the season. West Point come out on top of that one. Of course, I got to go with West Point, and what I had written down here was no contest, and I
Yeah.
have to be like that because I'd pull for the Warriors if I could, but I gotta go. I gotta go with West Point in this one.
Well, and it quite honestly, what else I also thought about this, it doesn't matter who wins the other game, and it doesn't matter who comes out of the South. I pity them because West Point's just going to roll it up and go to what was it, 9 straight championship games. They're going to make it 10.
Yeah,
They had all those state championships, 13 or whatever listed across the top. It's going to be 14. I mean, it may not go that far, but man, they look really good.
yeah, they did. And the opponent for them will be the winner of Cleveland Central and Holmes County Central, uh, who I got to see Cleveland firsthand the other night. Man, they are athletic and they are fast.
Yeah, it sounded like, and so people know that we call the Lafayette games. I was out of the state. I was in Kansas, and I actually listened online to the second half, Ronnie. And the backup quarterback Griffin was in, and he broke a long one, just with his feet. And I believe he started the game as a wide receiver. And so, yeah, backup quarterback may be in if the quarterback's still out. Plus, I'm just mad that they beat Lafayette, so I picked Holmes County Central, and I spent a lot of time in Holmes County when I taught at Holmes and Goodman. So I went Holmes County Central here on this one. But I got ties to Cleveland too. But maybe that was just me being upset that they beat us. Late in the game too. It was a good tight game all the way to the end, and they pulled away from Lafayette. So, but I went.
It was. It was a game that, and people have asked what happened. I'm saying for what they play 48 minutes, so for 46 minutes and a half, I felt like Lafayette was winning that football game.
Yeah.
Other than a couple of bad plays, we officiating, we had a couple of, and I'm not blaming the loss on that, but um, there was a play that cost us when it should have been 3rd and 1. The ref said 4th and 1, and I mean I do I do a drive chart every game, so I keep up with it. I know what it was. It was 3rd down. Everybody's yelling 3rd down. Supposedly, 2 of the officials told Coach Hart that they knew it was 3rd down, but the Whitehead had already made up his mind it was 4th down, and he wasn't changing it. So, but anyway, so Cleveland Central brought in their 3rd string quarterback at the end. He threw the touchdown pass that won it, and
That's right.
that kid had an arm on him. And I mean, he did. He kind of reminds you of a baseball pitcher, and just the way he just zipped that ball in there. But so if Cleveland Central, if their starting quarterback is back, I may go with Cleveland Central because they beat Holmes County by 14 about 5 weeks ago. But I'm not sure he's going to be back, so I'm going with Holmes County. Said all that to say I'm going with Holmes County.
Yeah,
Plus,
yeah,
my
yeah.
son's committed to Holmes, so I really can't pick against Holmes County. So, so let's move over to 6A now, and man, teams in there that I didn't think that we'd be talking about, or both this game. I didn't think either team would be there. Neshoba Central and Ridgeland. I thought it was going to be South Panola and Grenada meeting up for a second time this year, and what, the third time in a year, fourth time. It would be the fourth time in 2 years they met. But Neshoba won 28-27 over South Panola, and Ridgeland beat Grenada by a touchdown. It's kind of surprising both of those teams are in here.
Yeah, I feel the same way, Ronnie. I did not expect it to be Neshoba Central, and nothing against those teams. I just,
Right.
South Panola had been playing well, Grenada had been playing well. I think there was a touchdown with 10 seconds left that decided that game when they played late in the regular season. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like you, and again, no knock on Ridgeland or Neshoba Central. I just thought it was going to be, uh, South Panola and Grenada.
Yeah. So who's your pick?
So I went with Neshoba Central over Ridgeland. And
So
there's no real reason. That's what my gut was.
we're going to differ again because I'm going Ridgeland. They're 10-1. They beat Neshoba Central by 6 3 weeks ago. And of course, as you said, it's hard to beat somebody twice in the same season. So it'll be a good matchup. I think it's at Neshoba Central, so that'll be a really good matchup. And then a team that surprisingly, Lake Cormorant. I mean, they're playing Orange Central. They're both 9-2 coming into this one, and Lake Cormorant 2 losses are both by one score.
Wow. Well, Ronnie, you said it's hard to beat a team twice, and I did say that earlier. And I should have said it's hard to beat a team twice unless you're West Point. And so that's what to go back to number one. I actually wrote down that this is going to be the battle of the Centrals. So I went to Neshoba Central and Warren Central.
Well, I'm going Lake Cormorant in that one. So, and then we've got 7. Man, what's some matchups that we got? Tupelo 11-1, Germantown. So Germantown beat DeSoto Central 70-42 to get there.
Yes, 70 spot. Well,
And of course, Tupelo beat Starkville 28-10, which I thought that game would be a little closer.
yeah, and I went back and looked. Germantown was up on Oxford late in the game or sometime during the game. I believe is that the game that the starter got the concussion and Knox Kiffin came in
I
during the
think it
game
is, yeah.
and led them back. It was improbable. It was one of those things where if you played it over and over again, and not Coach Cut or any of those guys or anything else, that it probably didn't happen that way again. But it did happen that way, and they won in I think double overtime against Germantown. But since that point, Germantown has not lost a game, and they've outscored opponents 194-75. The closest game was Madison Central 21-17, and then they just rolled it up on everybody else by 20 or 30 point victories, shut out a couple of teams. So Germantown, I'm going to pick Germantown over Tupelo. Now, got connections to both. My daughter was born in Tupelo, and the town and the school we went to before we came to Lafayette was Germantown. But I'm going Germantown because of that 194-75. I think they got mad after Oxford came back and beat them. I think that was at home. I think they lost that game at home. I think that, or was that at Oxford? I think it was in Germantown, but I may be wrong. But I know it was a late comeback there and a 1 point victory in double overtime. We got to hear the call. They had it on the Twitters or the X or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. So, but yeah, maybe that was at Oxford because I think it's
that was at Oxford. Yeah,
yeah,
well, that was Don Brooks who had the great call with the touchdown there at the end of the game.
Yeah, now that I'm visualizing, I read Oxford end zone. But yeah, Germantown those outscoring. So even though it's an upset, I'm picking Germantown over Tupelo.
Wow. Of course, I'm going to go with Tupelo. They're the best team in 7A, I think. I know I'm probably not supposed to say that being in Oxford, but being an Oxford grad. But I'm going to go Tupelo. And then Oxford and Horn Lake. Man, Oxford just whipped Hernando 42-6. Horn Lake, I don't know if it was an upset, but it kind of seems Horn Lake beat Madison Central 35-28. So I think everybody was kind of looking forward to that Oxford Madison Central matchup. But they've got Oxford and Horn Lake, so those two teams are familiar with each other, having been in the same region together the last few years.
Yeah, I think it's Oxford and Tupelo flip flop those. One of them gets the northern part of the northern teams, and the other
Right.
goes down to the Jackson area. And this is Oxford's year, I think, to be down there with Germantown and Madison Central and all those guys. But yeah, I was surprised Horn Lake beat Madison Central. And again, not knocking Horn Lake, I just thought Madison Central was probably the better team this year. But I went Oxford in this matchup versus Horn Lake.
Yeah, I'm going to Oxford as well. Of course, 10-1. I say they're the 1A team. It's 7A. Tupelo's number one. Oxford's 1A. I don't think they're that far behind Tupelo. I mean, they had a close game earlier this year. I think they lost 38-13. It probably a little closer than that most of the game, I think. But I'm going to go Oxford. Uh, and then, man, that sets up some pretty good matchups for North Half championships. We're not going to talk about the South because we're North Mississippi game day. And we'll talk about the South teams when they get to the state championship. But I mean, we're here. This is week 12, week 13. I've lost count of how many weeks we're into this thing. I guess it would be so. It's going to be week 13 because Lafayette finished 6-6 on the season. So this would be, and we didn't have an off week, so it'll be week 13 coming up. Uh, I guess if there's a surprise team in all of this, who is your surprise team? That's there, not the team that you think might upset somebody, but who's there that you might not have thought would be there?
I mean, even though I picked them probably in Neshoba Central because they were playing South Panola, I just that that's one of them that jumps out at me right off the bat. I know it was a little more recent there. If I look back, I might think of somebody else or think something else happened. Um, I mean, definitely not like Louisville or Clarksdale because again, they're both just powerhouses. And just to circle back to that, Ryan, I mean, Louisville for years was kind of like that West Point, because in Mississippi we rank the teams in the top 25, 1A through 7A. We don't have a top 10 in 1A and a top 10 in 2A. And Louisville has mixed it up in the top five many a time. Not that Clarksdale hadn't, but I just know I remember seeing Louisville in there, like kind of like what West Point's doing this year, where they're kind of beating up on the bigger boys sometimes or in bigger teams. But yeah, I guess I'm going to go to Neshoba Central, even though I picked them over the Titans of Ridgeland.
I think my surprise team, and we've seen them play. For me, is Pontotoc. I mean, I'm happy that they've made it this far.
Yeah.
And going down and beating Lanier, trying to remember what 27-0. They shut out Lanier, who was at one time 8-0 on the season, and were just rolling. Didn't lose anybody. They just started playing a little bit better competition. And then so the losses started coming. But Pontotoc a team that I think, I had written down no contest between them and West Point, but I think Pontotoc can go in and give West Point a ball game. I'm not saying they're going to win because I am picking West Point, but that's a team that I think is going to surprise some folks in the next few years because they are talented.
Yeah, well, and we saw too the passing, and I mean they definitely chose who they wanted to pick on, so to speak, and they kept running those plays, and when they hit them, they were big plays. And so if you can hit 4 or 5 big plays in the game, you can hang around sometimes when maybe you shouldn't hang around, or you're playing a team that's a little better. And West Point's so good on the ground; they ground and pound. They can score quickly, but they can run that clock and control it. And if they stop you and you get 2 scores behind, all of a sudden it becomes sort of overwhelming, and it's like they're smothering you. But we saw Pontotoc that quick strike. Now I will say that 27-0 surprised me, not necessarily that they won, but that they blanked Lanier at Lanier. It was the
Right.
3 versus the 2, but Lanier was worthy of being number 1. So in their region. So
Yeah, they had
and
had the opportunity to be number one if the games fell the way they should have. But you look at West Point, they've got Colt Whitaker, the quarterback, who can throw the football. I mean, we saw him make some good passes. I saw him earlier this week. He had committed to somebody or got an offer. I don't know if he committed. I saw he got an offer. And then you got Cortland Pass, the young quarterback at Pontotoc, who I think he a junior or sophomore. I
yeah,
don't know
he's
if
pretty
he's
young. He may be a sophomore. He's a pretty young
yeah.
guy.
Yeah, so two good quarterbacks, both got good running games. So that's a game that if it was in Pontotoc, I'd probably go watch it. But I'm not going all the way to West Point to watch it. But that's a game that I would definitely like to go watch. So who's the team that's not going to get beat?
Who's the team? You mean the rest of the way?
Yeah,
I mean, West Point's the obvious choice, but I'm going to not pick West Point because I've already said they're going to win it all. So this is probably more personal connection and that kind of stuff. But I'm going to go with the Oxford Chargers and Coach Cut. I'm going with those guys to win it all this year, all the way through the state championship. I don't. they're nothing like West Point. I think West Point's got the best chance, but I'm going to go with them. And then, outside of that, maybe Cali City.
Yeah, and Calhoun City was going to be my pick. Of course, an Oxford grad who works at Lafayette, uh, like them both, pull for them both, and uh, so really hope the Chargers go and win it. But Calhoun City's the team that we've been talking about since week one. And when we were giving score updates in week one before we even started the podcast, I mean, we were talking about how good they were. And then they lost to Senatobia. And it was kind of like, well, Senatobia is a 4A school and they played with them. And
Yeah.
so I think Calhoun City's the team that I think is going to go through. They're going to represent. They're going to go all the way. And, it's just fun this time of the year to see a lot of these teams start to peak. And I think Oxford's peaking. I mean, they really are. You've got a different quarterback. Of course, Knox Kiffin in, or whether he'll be here next year or not. That's what everybody's talking about. We're not going to get into that. But I think that they're a different team, and I think Knox is doing a great job getting Kingston Gregory catching all kind of passes. So Oxford's a team that I'm like you. I'd love to see them go all the way, get that redemption against Tupelo maybe, and just punch it in and pick up a win.
Well, and not only that, but Kevin Smith Jr. was up for the
Yeah.
Player of the Week. Was it Clarion Ledger or it was one of the big publications had a Player of the Week on their website, and he was up for that. So one of the receivers there at Oxford as well.
Yeah, I remember, of course, Oxford, I think it was 2003 when they went down to Jackson and played Wayne Poe on the team. And I remember Coach Hill was the head coach back then. And he said that in 2002, they were all in the stands in Jackson. He said a lot of the coaches sat together and uh, they had just released the new numbers and who was going to be moving up, who was going to be moving down. Wayne County was moving up. And uh, Coach Hill said, "Man, I feel bad for the fool that has to play them next year in the state championship." And it was him.
With him.
And Coach Cut was the quarterback back then. They had Red Smith, and man, they just, it was a good team. It was a fun year. I got to go down and do the play-by-play for that for our radio station. And, it was a lot of fun. And here at this time of the year where you hate to see it because it just happened to a lot of teams. They lose that last game. Those seniors don't get to put that uniform on anymore, and you feel bad for all those kids, but you're excited for the ones that get to keep playing. There's a lot of teams that still have opportunities to go win a state championship.
That's right. And the one thing, we've experienced it with ours that when they get that, nobody can ever take it away. And
Right.
so that's a great feeling for those young men, and young ladies who win a championship in their sports. Whether it's softball, or basketball, soccer, or whatever. Cross country. We talked about those in recent weeks. But
Yeah.
man, what a great feeling it is to complete that run and win that state championship and have that title kind of in the bag, so to speak.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing some scores. This will be our first Friday night off that we've had since late August, I
Yeah, a
guess.
long time ago.
Yeah, because I think the season started like August 29th, but the week before was the Jamboree, Lafayette, New Albany. So I went out and kind of watched that and kind of helped the new PA guy get kind of acclimated there. And so it's been a lot of Friday nights that we've been at the football stadium and not sure what I'll do this Friday night.
I know it'd be kind of weird, but and you just mentioned another team that I'm kind of surprised is already out, and nothing against the team that beat them, but New Albany. New Albany was a good team this
Yeah.
year, and
Yeah,
so
I thought New Albany would make a pretty good run. I think it was at Louisville that knocked them out. Uh,
uh,
I'm not
maybe
sure. I'd have to go back and look. Let me see. I've got all my sheets right here if I didn't get them.
yes,
Wait.
50-22.
Yeah. Which really surprising that Louisville could, I mean, just kind of put the hammer down on New Albany like that. That was a team that we talked about New Albany a little bit this year and the success that they had had. Yeah, so to see those guys take that loss 50, gave up 50 points. Wow,
Yeah,
it's a
maybe
lot.
maybe I did pick the wrong team in that one since I picked Clarksdale over Louisville.
So, but hey, this has been kind of our pick'em episode. We'll get to come back next week and see how bad we were and just go pick some more games.
That's right. That's
The
right.
North half is next week, man, and that's it's gotten here so quick as we just talked about. Just starting the season back at the end of August, it's flown through. Uh, this Friday is our last day of before Thanksgiving break for next week for a lot of schools, and so then you'll play Friday night, and then the very next week, state championship games at the Mississippi State.
Well, and not only that, Ronnie, but when we're both in education, when we come back after Thanksgiving break, it'll be December 1st.
I know. How crazy is that?
This year has just flown by the whole year.
Yeah. And I think what it is, and I know we talk about our sons a lot, but it's their senior year, and I think there's so much going on, and we're anticipating getting back into baseball and seeing where that goes, and hopefully make another run in baseball. But man, it's just going quick. It's been a fun few months so far. And football season was fun. The Commodores that we cover 0-10 last year, 6-6 this year. I'll take that a lot. And some big things for the Commodores coming up next year, I think, as well as a lot of these teams that are going to lose some seniors. And they'll be getting some freshmen, and some kids moving up from the eighth grade that'll help some teams. And yeah, I'm just looking forward. I love high school football. I think it's one of the most pure sports out there. College football is getting kind of run with NIL and the transfer portal and all that, but high school football is still. Now, I'm not going to say there's not some shenanigans that go on
Yeah,
in high school football with some kids moving in all sports in high school, but I love high school sports, and that's why we do this show and how much fun we have doing this, and just to kind of uh, stay close to the game, I guess.
yeah. I mean, and again, just being able to kind of sift through what stats we can find after the weekend sometimes, and highlight players that do ridiculous things like throw for 400 yards and 8 touchdowns or something, or run for 400 yards and 8 touchdowns. I don't remember what it was,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just crazy, crazy stuff. Or some guy that
The
plays on
pack
offense.
up. I remember,
Yeah,
pack up. I don't know why, but from Corinth, I just
that's right.
remember that stat. And Zane Hill had that crazy week, like week 2 or 3, and at Regents, and just lit it up. And we've had a lot of good Domino's Pizza players of the week, and from football, golf, and all sports. So this is kind of our football specific episode that we wanted to do. I'm testing out this new equipment as well, see how that works. So it's kind of been a fun show. It's gone pretty quick. I mean, we're 30 something minutes into the show already, and it seems like we just started.
Yeah, that's right. So, but we talked about 1A to 7A, and that that there's 2 games in each still left. The winners match for the North half, as we've talked about, next week, and like you said, we'll come back and see. Did we pick them right or did we pick them wrong? Some of them we had to get right, one of us, because we picked different.
Right, right. So we'll see where we're at, and I'll hold that against you come next week and tell you how
That's right.
bad your picks were. But hey, we've got also some high school basketballs cranking up because I know I talked to a couple coaches this week that I saw their records. I text one. I said, "Hey, what's going on?" He said, "My football kids are still playing football." So some of these basketball coaches will be glad when football season's over with that they can get some of their players back.
Yeah, that's another thing, Ronnie, about high school sports, and even just sports in general, because we see it with the summer baseball, or we see it with some other things maybe that our sons are involved in. But a lot of things have become so specialized, and these kids want to, let me focus on one thing or whatever. But
Right.
I mean, high school's great, and you got these guys that go out and they play basketball, and they play football, and they play baseball, or they play, they run track, or cross country, or they play soccer and do something else. I mean, that's just so cool to see. And then, not only that, but we know this from just being around any of these kids on any of these teams, or even being on teams ourselves back in the day, is that brotherhood and that camaraderie. And so you got a guy who's in the football team, and that's his brotherhood right then. And then he goes over to basketball, and he's got a whole different brotherhood there. And then he goes, in the spring, maybe he runs track. And, it's just so much of that that's so cool. Those guys or girls even, whether softball, whatever it is for
Right.
them, they're so tight. There's such, good camaraderie, friendship. I mean, you hear it all the time. It's not just cliche that, oh man, that they got each other's back and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of really cool stuff. The kind of things that I like. I really like the team aspect of sports and what your teammates mean to you.
Yeah, and I mean, my son played golf, and out of the six kids that scored on the golf team, five of them are baseball players. So, they've grown up together since they were 6, 7 years old, and have played baseball together against each other. And you see that camaraderie that they take from baseball to golf, golf
Mhm.
back to baseball, and now golf's over. I know we're doing some inter squad stuff with baseball, and man, how crazy is it that 8 weeks, 10 weeks, baseball cranks up, and you know,
I can't even fathom it. I can't even fathom it. It's just
yeah.
flying by.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of stuff that we'll be talking about. As we said, softball, baseball, basketball's going on. Soccer is right in the middle of getting cranked up. A lot of soccer's going on. We've got some sponsorship opportunities coming up, so we're going to be sending some stuff out to some people about some sponsorship opportunities for us. We have, as you've got the Domino's logo behind you, the Charter Road Hospitality logo up in the corner up there that has all the places here in Oxford. So when you come into town, and we would love to highlight your business or something like that. If you're interested, just reach out to us at North Mississippi Game Day at Gmail. It's all one word and Mississippi spelled out, not like our North Mississippi Game Day on X, Twitter. Had to shorten it up a little bit to be able to have the name, but a lot of opportunities coming up. And man, we've got about Josh, and I'm looking forward to this playoff run we have here, closing out this year, and really kind of jumping into the spring sports in January. I know it's not spring in January, but that's what they call them, the spring
That's
sports
right.
start in
That's right.
January. So
Yeah, I'm thinking about when baseball starts every year in February and how we have those little buddy heaters and
yeah,
people have those little things they get in for the weather and they may have their heater inside the rain, the rain chair thing that they get in,
yeah,
but that keeps that heat in. And so, or they got blankets or extra layers on, all that kind of stuff. Cause I tell you what, man, there's some nights I don't want to be out there playing baseball. And I did actually coach one year in high school, and the very first game I coached was at East Webster and it snowed.
yeah.
And all I could think about was, I'm so glad I'm not swinging a metal bat.
What was it? Was it our freshman year, or it may have been junior high? We were at South Panola and it snowed.
Oh yes, that's right. It was
Yeah,
it was 30 something degrees. It snowed for four of the 6 innings or 6 to 8 innings we played that day in
yeah,
the Jamboree. Oh yes, it was so bitter cold out there. And I remember it was junior high because or middle school because those boys were out there in
that's right.
their short sleeves and they were talking about how we got to be tough. I think it was something one
Yeah,
of the coaches told them or something. I don't know.
that's right. My wife gets upset at me because I'm in the press box doing the PA, and she's sitting out there with four blankets, the little buddy heater, and I'm sitting up there going, "Can y'all turn the heat down just a little bit? It's getting a little warm up here." So I tell her that she doesn't like that. I'm sorry. So, but hey, man, what a fun episode, and we hope this works out pretty good as far as the software that we're trying to use tonight. And if it does, we may look at doing this some more, uh, and still bring in some guests. And this might open up some opportunities for people that we can't bring in that we could kind of bring in as a video and talk to them live. So this has worked pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, virtual drive is much shorter than a real drive. So
100%. So I think that's probably going to wrap it up tonight. And we're here at as we said, the Charter Road Hospitality, Ten Place Suites by Marriott, right across from the True. They do have that big the Gin Hotel and Spa that
yes.
they're building, and man, that thing. I drove by it again the other day. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. I drove by, but now it's kind of starting to close in, and it looks even bigger.
Yes. Oh, I mean, it's just enormous looking, and it's still a ways away from being done. But like you said, when they start closing in, then they get all that exterior done, then they got to go to all the interior work. But man, it already is an impressive structure there, and looks like it's going to be a really, really, really nice place that Charter Road is.
Yeah, that will definitely be ready by next football season. So, but hey, we want to thank everybody for watching us. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. Follow us on X at North Mississippi Game Day, and shoot us an email, shoot us a message, and we'll be glad to. If you got a student you want to spotlight, we're still looking for those stories.
That's right.
We'll be glad to spotlight those students. But Josh, man, fun episode tonight.
Yeah, it was.
So we're going to get out of here. For Josh Guest, I'm Ronnie Williams. We'll talk to you next time on North Mississippi Game Day.